In today's Mad Musings, we are looking at the one-book wonder Mechwarrior, the Battletech RPG. It's a one-book wonder in the fact that they never really released anything except for the main book for it, with just a very few number of supplements. Not only did they just release the core book, they released it 4 times. So it's time to look at the RPG that could have taken the mech out of Mechwarrior, except they balked at the chance. I'm Mr. Welch, let's rev up those fusion reactors and prime the LRMs. It's Mechwarrior time. There's 4 versions of Mechwarrior. FASA created versions 1 through 3 in the 90s, and Catalyst came out with A Time of War just a few years ago, which is actually 4th edition with a new name. The books were focused on character building more than background building, with about 2/3 of each book devoted to character generation and the combat. The biggest complaint that I heard from most players is the battle mechs overshadow the player characters, which in large part is true. While the game promises you can play anything, in the priority section only the worst option for mechs means you don't start with a battle mech. The priority system is textbook FASA, it's just like Shadowrun. You have to decide what's most important between battle mech, race, attribute, skill, and advantages. You list what's most important to you from best to least, and the lowest choice for battle mech means you don't get one. The highest priority means you get an assault mech. The 2 lowest tiers of race make you a meager human, where the highest means you're a genetically engineered clan elemental. This does cause a problem because if you want to play anything other than a mech pilot for the inner sphere, your first 2 options are locked in, with lowest priority going to mech and second lowest going to race. For a system that promises all the options of people in the Battletech universe, they still tie the setting to the battle mechs. You have to bend the rules or at least get the supplements if the party wants to play smugglers, nobles, criminals, or just infantry. Once you've got that part of creation out of the way, you get to go through your schools and determine your skill packages. Skill packages give you bulk discounts on skills rather than buying them one at a time, at the expense, obviously, of variety. If you want to go through House Kurita's basic training, they're going to have you learn martial arts whether you want to or not, but it does save you skill points compared to buying the rest of the package without the extra skills. Packages also give your characters a background, even if, again, almost all of them are Mechwarriors. Combat is simple and deadly. Weapons in Mechwarrior do not skimp on lethality, so wear armor if you want to live. Armor is ablative, it'll stop you from getting killed immediately, but you're going to want to not be shot at all. This is for the hand weapons that are prevalent in the game. If you get clipped by a mech weapon, that kind of damage tends to fall into the ash outline far wall category, so don't get shot by a mech. Combat is a major part of the game, more than most sci-fi games. I mean, it's Battletech. You're not going to be expecting the rules to focus on sneaking and diplomacy. If you have talky players that want to try and think of peaceful solutions in the Battletech universe, this might not be the game for them. When it does come to the mech combat, you have 2 choices. Go for the narrative system set out in the book, or break out the minis and set everything on the table. A complaint towards the game has long been it's just an even more drawn-out rule set for Battletech, a complaint that does have some merit. If you're playing a Mechwarrior, there's more than a good chance one of your players is going to have all the mechs mentioned, as well as the maps and even the buildings. So too many times the game goes like Voltron, where there's a bunch of talking at the beginning until it's giant robot time. Then you have to have the split screen effect of everybody powering up their battle mechs and stomping out to squash those uppity House Merrick troops, because if it's one thing Battletech has taught me, House Merrick is there for target practice, and maybe House Liao, depends on the timeline. The first 3 editions take the setting up to the Battle of Tokied, where the phone cops call Comstar stopped the invasion of the genetically engineered killing machines called the clans, because the Inner Sphere guys never bothered to upgrade their technology. Well, the Space Mongols got defeated by the Space AT&T at the battle and had to agree to chill out for 15 years, and that's where all the FASA editions ended. The Catalyst version takes the game up to current day being the timeline up to, but not including the clicky tech Dark Ages, so you don't have the indignity of being handed a farming mech and told to stop a mad cat with an oversized cotton gin. The first 3 versions got better with each edition, with the 3rd hammering out a huge chunk of the bugs. Catalyst greatly expanded the complexity of the game while keeping the mechanics similar to the original. The Catalyst version does have the issue with it looks really complex, with large numbers scattered around making the book much scarier than it actually is. You've got a small handful of supplemental books, and most of these are more templates, more mechs, more tech, rather than expanding on the politics of both the clans and the Inner Sphere, except for the clan book. The most popular of the source books is the Solaris book, because it does give you the rules for one-on-one Mechwarrior rules. Session 1 is critical when you play Mechwarrior. 9 times out of 10, you're all going to play mercenaries, or if the party can agree on something, everybody will be sworn to one house or one clan. That means you're going to be going into Voltron mode constantly, and everybody will be making social skill rolls until it's stompy robot time. If the party wants to play not Mechwarriors, then you have to make sure that every single player is on board, because if you have a rogue, a merchant, a smuggler, and a guy walking around in a 100-ton, 3-story tall love letter to the Second Amendment, there's going to be problems with your campaign. Other things you have to watch out for, it's the professional Battletech player looking to live out his fantasies in RPG form. The same fantasies that convinced the rest of the Battletech League to go play Car Wars. The guy that used his far superior knowledge of Battletech to make the GM's life a living hell, the kind of guy that demands to play a Wasp Lamb using his original lead mini from the earliest days, only to have the Harmony Gold lawyers burst in and drag the GM out of the house, and then we have to go back to playing GURPS. The game does have serious problems with rules lawyers, especially if you are merging the Battletech and the Mechwarrior lines together. One of the options lets you custom build your own mech, and a GM who doesn't know the rules will let a player build a 100-ton assault mech with 40 machine guns and all the speed boosts he can manage, and watches they bisect a Zeus in one shot with no heat, or he puts his mech on the other side of the room, not the table, the actual room, because his mech is a hollowed out Atlas packing double long toms with alternating fast scam rounds, so anybody that actually tries to go up against him has to run through a minefield. Or worse, slave rigs a bunch of Savannah Masters with nothing but machine gun ammo and overcharges the engines because the rules for ramming weren't especially well thought through, so in a single turn he sends one of his kamikaze hovercraft into the enemy, and everybody gets to stand back and watch the bad guy's souped up Battlemaster disappear in a black powder mushroom cloud, and you wonder why we all switched to Car Wars, Derek, but I digress. So that's Mechwarrior. If you like Battletech, you can pick up the books cheap. They are full of a lot of background for the setting and a single source, so you don't have to track down everything that's been scattered across dozens of old source books. The game has the issue of not having enough meat for a long-term campaign, so it's really for only hardcore Battletech fans. Next time I'm going to look at Stars Without Numbers, a highly regarded title that is pure OSR in space. So until next time, guys, Traveler is coming up soon, I promise.